It's good to kick off this session. I'm glad that all of you are here on Sunday morning. I hope I do justice. So does cooperation mean absence of conflict? Now, we have heard that social insects have in some sense achieved the pinnacle of cooperation. Does this mean that conflict is absent? No, conflict is in fact omnipresent. It goes hand in hand with cooperation. It's manifested as fights, contests, and duels. Individuals fight with each other in order to acquire resources, acquire mates, acquire opportunities for survival and reproduction. And thus it has important implications for the fitness of an individual. So one central question that everyone is interested when it comes to social insects is what makes some individuals more stronger or more dominant than others. A lot of studies have been done on intrinsic determinants of strength or winning, intrinsic factors that are properties of an individual, such as age, body size, body weight, hormones, genes, so on and so forth. On the other hand, extrinsic factors, such as factors that lie outside the bodily realm of an individual, such as its environment or its social interactions with other conspecifics, they are grossly understudied. The focus has only been in last 2 decades on the extrinsic factors, and that's because when it comes to interactions between individuals, they are difficult to control, difficult to measure. One area of inquiry in extrinsic factor investigations is winner and loser effects. Simply put, it just means that if an individual, a randomly chosen individual, irrespective of its strength, if it wins, it keeps on winning. It puts that individual in a winning loop. And if an individual loses, regardless of its intrinsic strength, it keeps on losing. It enters a losing loop. That's what winner and loser effect means. So in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I will take you on a journey to explain our work that I did with my PhD advisor on winner and loser effects in a eusocial species, and probably the first evidence of that. Next slide there, yeah. Winner and loser effects are probably more important in eusocial species and more frequent than we thought of. They're more likely to be found because 3 conditions that are extremely important for winner and loser effects to happen are that there should be frequent encounters between conspecifics, which happens in social species. The encounter should be of dominant-subordinate kind, which also happens. And there should be some kind of group-related memory where there is individual recognition about individuals. And we know that that to some extent happens in eusocial species. And yet, winner and loser effects have never been investigated. So they thought we would investigate this. In the Indian paper wasp, Propalidia marginata. It's abundantly present in India. It's called paper wasp because the nest material is made from wood fibers that the wasps scrape from plants and then convert it into wood pulp and then build a nest. So we had 2 objectives. We wanted to see, regardless of individual strengths, does a prior win or a loss put individuals into winning and losing loops? That is, winner and loser effects, whether they exist in this species, and whether these effects, if they exist, if they occur alongside contest-related changes in behavior. I would not like to go into details of the methods, but just to tell you briefly, the individuals were randomly chosen, they were unfamiliar with each other, they were of a particular age window. We gave a pre-decided contest outcome, and that's how you basically tease apart the strength, intrinsic strength of individuals from the experience that they get. That's what happens in contest number 1, and then in contest number 2, you put the experienced individual with a naive individual and see whether the number of consecutive wins or losses is more, the probability of number of wins and losses are more than chance alone. We also observe frequency and latency, that is the first display of that particular behavior, of 3 important behaviors: dominance behavior, approach behavior, and avoidance behavior. And all these experiments were carried out in the blind. So for winner effect individuals, we put the focal individual along with the habitual loser. A habitual loser was that particular individual of the population who was extremely weak. By putting our focal individual with a habitual loser, we ascertain that the focal individual gets a winning experience, regardless of its intrinsic strength. And that's how we tease apart its strength from its experience. that contest was observed for 60 minutes. After a 45-minute break, we put the focal individual with a naive individual, and we again observed it for 60 minutes. For loser effect experiments, we put the focal individual with an extremely strong individual, so that regardless of the focal individual's intrinsic strength, it gets a pre-decided outcome of losing. And then we, after a 45-minute break, we put it with a naive individual and see if 2 consecutive losses for the focal individuals are encountered. Okay, so the predictions are if 2 consecutive wins are observed significantly more number of times than 50%, then winner effect exists. Same goes for loser effect. So do winner and loser effects exist in this species? Yes, they do, quite significantly. In 9 out of 10 pairs we observed, we found that 2 consecutive wins are displayed by individuals. Similarly, in all 13 pairs that we investigated for loser effects, we found that 2 consecutive losses are displayed by individuals. This means that both effects in this paper was. Also, the memory of the most recent win or loss is retained for at least 45 minutes because that was the break that was made between successive contests. The next set of experiments, we looked at behavioral changes between winners and losers. And in some sense, this is even more interesting than winner and loser effects, the presence of winner and loser effects, because we found that though winner and loser effects existed, they were accompanied by no behavioral changes. Look at the first 2 bars and the second 2 bars. These are, so the first bar is the first contest winner's frequency of behavior. The second is the second contest winner's frequency. These are for first contest losers, second contest losers. And we find that there are absolutely no changes in frequency as well as latency of aggressive behavior, of initiating interaction, that is approach behavior, and avoidance behavior. So this means that though individuals are winning more and losing more, their behavior remains constant. They are not showing more number of aggressive behaviors or not showing aggressive behavior sooner than the first contest. They are not initiating interactions with a higher frequency or latency, and the losers are not avoiding with a higher frequency or higher latency. So the take home from this work is that winner and loser effects exist. The presence of extrinsic factors itself, in some sense, undermines the individual attributes or properties of individuals. They exist simultaneously in this species. Sometimes we will think that winner and loser effects are opposing effects and they cannot exist simultaneously in the species, but that's not so. If these 2 different effects are, if they exert independent positive feedback response in the species, for example, being a winner, of course, gives you access to resources and mates. But even being a loser, if, for example, if it allows you to escape costs related to death or injuries or exhaustion related to contests, then both these effects will be adaptive and will exist simultaneously. This is also first of its kind in any eusocial species. So we think that these effects might be much more common in these species, but this is the first study because such investigations have not happened yet, and they could be more common than thought of before. This also brings us to game theory, which says, of course, that behaviors and personalities are not individual properties, but are dependent on the presence of, it largely depends on the social context. The memory of past behavior of winning and losing was retained for 45 minutes. And in social species, this might be good enough. I mean, the memory of past experience can be retained for a longer time. But even a short memory like 45 minutes will be good enough because individuals in a social species will have more frequent encounters, and the recent memory will get reinforced more easily. We also see that there were no behavioral changes related to contests, and it could be either because the frequency and latency with which individuals display the behavior was optimal. So for example, if a winner is winning with a given behavior, given frequency and latency of behavior, why should it enhance it? Because it's already winning it at a particular level. Or the other point could be that we did not measure the behavior that is changing. We measured the most obvious behaviors related to contest. But there could be something else that is changing which we did not measure. Finally, the significance of this work lies in that most studies these days are going deeper and deeper within the body of an individual, so hormones and genes and DNA. But sometimes the answers could lie outside the body of the individual. And it's good to study the specifics and studying the individual attributes of individuals of a social species. But the answers might lie outside, so it is equally important sometimes to answer the environmental and social cues that shape behavior of individuals. I would like to thank all my collaborators, all the funding, project funding sources, and travel funding sources.